Yeah. So really thinking about how your business actually functions. And even if maybe you're a solopreneur just starting out, maybe if you have aspirations to grow a team, maybe that's a small team, maybe that's a large team, whatever that looks like, you need to, number one, get what's in your head out on paper. Because if it lives in here, it's going to take up a lot of bandwidth, a lot of brain space. It's going to clog all the things. So you want to get it out. Really, what documentation, SOPs, processes, procedures, all of that like workflow mapping does for you is it allows your business to be consistent, reliable, and repeatable. Whether that's by you, whether that's by another team member, doesn't really matter. So think about SOPs as sort of like your business blueprint. How do I do this task or project?
Welcome to the Sharpen the Spear podcast, where we help home service pros cut through the noise, sharpen their business tools, and reclaim the profit, freedom, and impact they've been missing. I'm your host, Richard Walsh, Profit Freedom Coach, and I'm here to help you stop grinding and start growing. Let's sharpen the spear. And we are back on STS Sharpen the Spear podcast with another incredible guest. I've got Jessica Millhiser with us today, and I really am looking forward to this because this is one of my little pet projects in every business I work with. It shouldn't be a little pet project. It's usually a major project, but I'm going to stop there. And Jessica, no one knows Jessica better than Jessica. So as we always do in STS, give us some backstory, bring us up to speed. Then we're going to get into the good stuff.
Awesome. Thanks, Richard. Happy to be here. So I am Jessica Millhiser. I am the owner of J Mills Consulting, and I'm a business consultant and strategist. So really what I focus on is business foundation, business fundamentals, internal structure, all those kind of nitty gritty back-end logistics that really need to be in place for businesses to be consistent, reliable, and sustainable. I am originally from Vermont. I lived in DC for about 3 years. I lived in Los Angeles for about 9. We moved to Colorado in September 2020. And I love to call myself an accidental entrepreneur because this was never actually my intention, my plan, my path. I was hoping to be director of operations or athletic director at an athletics program like high school or college or whatever. So like my master's degree is in coaching and administration, which looking back now, I realize is really a business degree, but with a focus in athletics. So it has served me very, very well. But yeah, so like in September 2020, we moved. December 2020, I was still director of operations for a swim program in LA. I was there for about 6 years. And the main instructor broke off and she was like, "Hey, Jess, I'm going to start my own swim school, but I don't know how to run a business. Can you help me?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I can do that." And so basically I spent all of 2021 trying to figure out like, can I do this? What does this look like? What are my services? What am I offering? How am I finding people? Really trying to like fill out that map of entrepreneurship again, because it wasn't something I was planning for. And then I found that there was definitely a need. And January 22, I went all in, got my LLC, did the damn thing. And here we are, rocking and rolling.
I love it. I love it. That's, so many businesses start exactly the way you did. Mm-hmm. Somebody just sees a need, gets a request to fulfill a need, and then they go, I could do this for more than just one person.
Yes.
It's just even me for coaching, same principle, right? I'm running multiple businesses. I got all this stuff going. I'm like, I'll write a book. So I wrote a book, just
awesome.
And I built an academy around it because I'm like, well, if I got a book, I'm not going to make any money really selling it.
You have a framework.
But there it is. And then I'll build and bring people in there. And I start that whole thing. I was kind of mentoring businesses. And that was my leap to getting paid to coach businesses, because, mentors are free and coaches get paid. So let's be a coach.
All sure.
Right?
Sure.
So here we are, right? All these years later, it's really cool. So I love it. So let's kind of dive into, I'm going to use the high term systems and processes. Okay. Because we were talking before we came on air about so many businesses get going. Okay. And we do what we have to. I call it, that's the ignorance on fire stage. Okay. So you're running, you're selling stuff, whatever your product or service is, you're selling that, you're doing that, you're getting people to work and you've got tools and you're buying equipment or you're doing whatever you have to do to make money. Right?
Yes.
And I spent 20 years doing that, not thinking about what we're going to talk about today. So just so everyone knows, you can be really I stayed ignorant for a really long time. I was having too much fun doing what I do to be
Yeah.
concerned about the business because I'm out making lots of money and having a good time. 0809 gave me complete clarity on why you need what we're going to talk about. Okay. And there's a lot of other reasons too, but we're going to get into all of those today. So let's kind of dive into, we'll call it the back office for lack of a
Sure.
better term.
I call it the back end.
That works too. Back
Yeah.
office, back end, the back end of the back office. It's all good.
Yes.
So let's just start there. Like, what are you seeing out there? You've been doing it for a number of years now. It's your expertise. Like, let's start at, when someone calls you, do they have the realization they need this? Or are you like, they're calling you for something, but they don't know what it is. And you're going, you don't have anything.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix, right? Like some people come to me and they know like, hey, I need help with my client experience or my client journey, or I really need help with my mission, vision, values, biz identity stuff. Like it really depends. And sometimes they come to me and they're like, I don't know what I don't know. And I heard that you were the person to talk to. So we kind of just take them where they're at. But what I will say before I even jump into that is I find that a lot of people, especially if they're newer into entrepreneurship, they're going external immediately. I need clients, I need revenue, I need to network, I need to market, be on social media, all the things. And that's great. Those are all super, super important components. But then my next question is, what happens next? What happens then? How do people start to actually utilize your service, move through your business, experience your brand, your company? Like, how does all of that actually work and function behind the scenes? So I really focus on 5 foundational pillars for business foundation and internal structure, because you really need to set those up in order to have a business that can thrive, so that you also don't lose your mind, don't lose your sanity, feel more organized and in control of the strategic direction and like how and why you're making certain business decisions. So that's really kind of where I focus. And when people come to me, they're anywhere in that spectrum. And I kind of figure out like, where are you now? Where are you trying to go? And how do we close that gap?
Right. So let me ask you this, because I have my experience with all this too. Like, what's the earliest someone has come to you saying, I need this in their business journey? So I doubt you have people doing it pre-launch.
That's not necessarily true. I've had people come to me when I talk about the 5 pillars that I really focus my work on. I'll just kind of high level outline those. Pillar number 1 is business identity, mission, vision, values. How are you moving your business forward? How do you define success? All of that. Pillar number 2 is client experience, client journey. How do people feel while they work with you, move through your business? Pillar number 3 is really business organization and process development. So that's really like, where's information stored? What are the SOPs? How does your business function on a day-to-day? How do you do tasks, projects, etc.? What are the logistics in the business? Pillar number 4 is team growth. And that can take on many different forms. It can be employee, it can be outsourcing, it can be, whatever that looks like for you, but like hiring and training manual, contractor welcome packet, employee handbook, all those kinds of things. Again, the internal foundation component. And then the last pillar, pillar 5, is strategic planning. What is your big vision for the next 1 to 2 years? How can you work backwards? So people can come to me and kind of be anywhere in those main pillars, but I've definitely had people come to me early on, be like, hey, I'm just starting, I'm just breaking off, I'm in my first 6 months, I need to work on my business identity, because business identity is foundation pillar number 1. If you don't know what that is, it's going to be difficult for you to make strategic, intentional decisions. So sometimes people will be ready to start right then and there. I've also had people come to me 20 years in and be like, hey, I'm just not ready to grow my team. What does that look like? Help me figure that out. Or, hey, I want to take my business to the next level. I've been a solopreneur for the last 20 years. How do I grow? What does that actually look like? So that's more team growth and strategic planning pillar. So it just kind of depends on where they're at.
Gotcha. Yeah. I think the business identity thing is really big. I do the same thing when we work with a business. We have to establish it, like they have it, but they haven't articulated it. It's
exactly.
like up here, right? It's in their head.
Yes.
It's the proverbial inner genius. But I'm like, well, how does everybody else here know?
Right.
You know, but
yes.
you got, 18 other people that work here. Do they know? If I ask them, can they? And they're like,
And business identity is a top-down thing. Like you need to embody that. That needs to permeate the culture, permeate the decisions, permeate the clients. Like that is like a top-down, all-encompassing thing.
Yeah, it's critically important because, like you're saying, when you say top-down, it doesn't just mean for your people.
Correct.
Everything you do with how you're going to market, who your
Yes.
ideal client is, you have to develop.
Yes.
That's all part of all this. So it's a really big umbrella.
And I was listening, actually, funny enough, to your episode with, I think, Jacqueline, where you guys were talking a lot about mission, vision, values. And I was like, oh, my people. Yes.
Yeah, we do a thing called strategic vision. That's really powerful. It's really, really powerful. I just encourage people to take the time to do this because it's hard in the beginning because, again, you're running hard, you're running and gunning and doing these things, and it's not really, it. So you feel like as a leader, I'm air quoting leader, good enough. I know what we're doing. I'm the head of, I'm the captain of this ship. Just follow me. That
doesn't always work.
Period of time. No, a very short period of time. It'll work. And all of a sudden people, they're listless. Okay?
Right.
Keep with and they don't really know what they're coming to work, but I call it, they're coming to a mystery job.
Well, they need to buy in. And if they understand the identity of the business and the direction and the ideals, they can buy in. You want staff and team members that are bought in. Yeah,
we do it when we write it out. We actually give it. That's the first thing they get when they want to work here. They have to read that. Then we talk, right? So they know. And people will read it and go, yeah, I'm good. I'm not going to work there.
Yeah,
like,
great.
Excellent.
Perfect.
Saving both our time and money. It's all good.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's just those things are really important. So I'm glad you begin with that. And I totally get why that's your number one pillar. Because I'm just telling you, when you dial it in, you've probably the same experience I do. That changes the culture of the business. Right? Like people wonder, they say you need to fix your culture and you have no idea how. Right. Just the person who told you.
And what's interesting, like with the foundational work, with the 5 different pillars, you can be anywhere in there. But again, coming back to a lot of the things that entrepreneurs are doing to grow their businesses external. And what that involves is doing, constantly doing. What's next? How do we move? What's the next move? How do I get here? And that is great, but also there's a lot of power in the pause. There's a lot of power in the stillness. There's a lot of power in taking a break. Where am I at? Where am I going? How do I make an intentional strategic move now? And a lot of that power resides in being, resides in stillness. And I find that a lot of entrepreneurs have a difficult time taking that pause, finding that pause. So a lot of my work really involves the pause, involves the slowdown, involves the space to really think about how are you structuring your business? How are you moving your business forward? And what makes sense for you and the direction you're trying to go?
Yeah, I think you said it well. That's the strategic. What they're focused on is tactical. We call the everyday and doing this and putting out the fires and making things happen. Do all that. But you do need that time, whether that's a weekend or a full day or whatever that looks like, to go, okay, where do I want to be in that 18 to 24 months? Like what's the vision? What are we trying to accomplish as a whole? Right. And if you haven't set that, you're kind of, this is why what I call, this is how you work hard those first 2 years, you're doing all this stuff. And then next, the 10 years goes by, you've repeated the first 2 5 times. That's the hamster wheel that so many people are on, so many businesses, because they're doing
keep going.
And it feels like it's the proverbial rocking horse stays in motion, but doesn't make any progress.
Yeah.
Right? You're making motion, but you're not going anywhere, right? With the business. So it's important that we take that strategic time and build it out. And then when you reach that, you get to write it again.
Yes.
It's a recurring process.
Yes.
Hey, we can do it in 18 to 24 months. Great. Let's write another one. Where are we going now?
Right.
That way you're always kind of looking forward.
And also I always recommend building in that time at least once a month. Take a Friday, take every 3rd Friday, take every 4th Friday, whatever that is for you. Take the day, block it out, and take a look. Where am I now? And how does that relate and align with where I'm trying to go? Because sometimes what happens, you get so stuck in the doing, the keeping afloat, putting fires out, that you kind of end up veering way off track. And you're like, oh, shoot, I need to course correct. So the consistent, regular strategic CEO time is really valuable.
Yeah. Plus, what we do too is we every month come back to the whole team and review the vision. Are we on track with the team? Like, because everyone has whether they're the hero in the journey, so they understand it. Like, how you doing here? Are you
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling this? Is the guy before you and after you? Like, everyone's that part. Like, what are we doing? How are we doing? So it keeps everyone on focused on the vision, not just that tactical. Because we all get sucked into the tactical,
Yes.
regardless if you're the owner down to the janitor. Okay, we
Mm-hmm.
all we all we all get stuck in the tactical. It's just the nature of the beast. So we got to pull everybody out that way. We got to readjust them as well. They keep tracking, right? Bring them back onto course, like you said, so that everyone is moving in the same direction all the time.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
Yeah, good stuff. So let's kind of jump into the stuff that everyone except you doesn't like to do. Okay. And then we'll talk a little bit about SOPs, manuals,
Yes.
systemizing process and stuff like that. Like, we like it. Let's talk about it because you have a great way of explaining this. So I want people to kind of understand this. Now, this is and I'm putting the caveat out there, man. This is really critical to your business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're listening to this podcast right now. You stay here, listen to this whole thing, because this is something you need to get into your mind,
Don't
into your
skip
being.
it.
That's right. There's no, yeah. Do
Don't
not go
fast forward.
And if you did, get back. But yeah, so this is really important. So, and again, we're not here to bore you, and it's not going to be boring because that's not who Jessica is. She's excited about this stuff. So, but let's talk about it. Let's get into this because this to me is the game changer for pretty much any business.
Yeah. So really thinking about how your business actually functions. And even if maybe you're a solopreneur just starting out, maybe if you have aspirations to grow a team, maybe that's a small team, maybe that's a large team, whatever that looks like, you need to, number one, get what's in your head out on paper. Because if it lives in here, it's going to take up a lot of bandwidth, a lot of brain space. It's going to clog all the things. So you want to get it out. Really, what documentation, SOPs, processes, procedures, all of that like workflow mapping does for you is it allows your business to be consistent, reliable, and repeatable. Whether that's by you, whether that's by another team member, doesn't really matter. So think about SOPs as sort of like your business blueprint. How do I do this task or project? How do I process payments? How do I send out contracts or invoices? How do I move clients along in my service? Like, how do I offboard or onboard clients or, team members, whatever that looks like, right? If you can provide a consistent, repeatable process, things won't get missed. People will be able to rely on you and trust you and be like, yo, this person knows what they're talking about. We have a consistent, valuable experience every single time. It allows for more referrals. It allows for more client loyalty. It allows for more team loyalty, right? So it really is the foundation piece, another foundation piece, right? Because it's not sexy. Nobody wants to sit there and write down SOPs. But really what it does is it gives you a blueprint so that you can then offload, you can then delegate, you can then grow and scale your business as desired.
Yeah, and it gives you everyone in the business a new level of accountability too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really important. I think what people don't get is, well, we left off one thing was when you do all that stuff, it's all for the teams, for you know what else is for? The new owner.
Sure.
You
Yes.
sell the
Mm-hmm.
business because
Definitely.
they want to buy a systemized business. So
yes, they want the blueprint.
You want to increase the valuation of your business, do everything
Mm-hmm.
that Jessica just said, right?
100%.
All of this because no one, well, I shouldn't say no one, you can buy distressed businesses because they don't have this stuff. So there's a beauty if you know how to do all this is like I do with my client. Once they've done it with their business, they see another distressed business that's, and they go in there and they turn that around quickly. They know how to systemize. They know how to put that in place. All of a sudden, everything is running smooth. Now
and
they're profitable.
Sometimes what people will say, be like, oh God, systems feel icky or rigid, or I don't have the time. Who has time for that? And there's a bunch of different ways. A system is really just the way you do things. It can feel and look however you want it. It's just how you run your business, how your business functions. So if you take that and maybe you're like, okay, I need to start working on this. You're bought in. I get it. Fine. You could make a list of your high priority, high frequency tasks functions, etc. And then just start doing like one process a week. One process a week. It'll be slow, but at least you'll be making progress. You can also use Loom to create recordings. My recommendation here is to, yes, Loom is great because then you can just be like, hey, I'm recording this task. This is how you do it. The only caveat with that is if you change the task, you have to re-record. So I always recommend having actual documentation of the step-by-step piece as well, simultaneous with the recording. And that way, depending on your team, depending on who takes a look at it, some people are, want the manual, want the documentation. Some people want the visual. So you're kind of covering your bases with both avenues.
So this reminded me of a question I want to ask you. So what I found in many years of doing this, so we're going to talk about the owner. So I asked the question to every owner, would you like your business systemized? Wouldn't it be great if it was all these things? And they all have a resounding yes.
Yes.
I said, okay, let's get started. And here's their response. Well, I'm not doing it.
Right.
I don't
Who's doing it for me?
Yeah, it's that's not going to happen. So that's one of the things I just wanted to ask you, because when you get in this, I find I go work with the team. I'm going there after this recording to work with someone on the team to put things together, because the owner they have other responsibilities. They don't have the bandwidth. They don't have the desire.
Sure.
They have the willingness. They want it.
Yes.
They just can't. You're going to slow the process if you can't work with the people on the team. Now, if it's a solopreneur and you got to do it, you do it.
Yes.
But do you find that to be kind of a consistent theme?
Yes, I do. Nobody wants to do it except for like me, obviously. I mean, there are other systems folks out there. So I think what the key is, if you're a solopreneur, sync up with somebody, whether it's a consultant that specializes in this space or whatever, like sync up with somebody and do the work together, because ultimately an outsider cannot come in and do it for you. Like they don't know how your business functions. They don't know how you run your business. So intellectual property needs to come from the owner or somebody in the role that knows the role and function really, really well. So if that's a solopreneur, find a way to figure out what that looks like. If you're somebody that's got a team, see if there's somebody on your team that is systems oriented, that loves the structure piece, that loves the organization and problem solving piece, because that could be your person that can take this component on for you. And then if you have an even bigger team, take a look at the different like departments or roles or functions within your business. Who's kind of in the day-to-day? Who's kind of overseeing that department, if you will, that function, and have them start to take ownership of the processes and procedures as well. So there's a way to kind of break it down and make it work depending on what your business organization looks like.
And I think another factor to help that, if you are a solopreneur or a very small team, someone like you comes in, Jessica, you have framework. So it's actually easier. You got to, because you think you're not building the framework. They just want to pull out what's inside.
Correct.
And you'll plug it in, right? So
correct.
It's not like you're going to reinvent a wheel. You're like, here, just answer these questions. I'm going to ask you, how do you do this? What's this look like? And then you're filling in the blanks, and then we move forward. So when you have to, when you don't know how to do something,
yes,
and you think you have to figure it out, is way bigger than you think.
Yes.
Your mind has got, and then you're like, oh, it's just those questions. That's it, because you've got framework already built out, or you've pre-worked.
So when I do this work with people, it's very collaborative. Like we have one-on-one sessions and we kind of outline, like, what are the processes and systems we're working on? What are the things that we want to get through? So we build out the list. And then collaboratively, I'm like, okay, great. We're starting here. Or like we start with whatever is like the highest priority or the thing that they want to delegate the quickest, the soonest. And we start working through those processes. So pretty much I'm just asking them, hey, walk me through this process. How do you do this? How do you get through each step? And I'm there formatting, documenting, creating the documentation for them. And oftentimes what that does as an outside party, I can be like, oh, this feels redundant. Can we skip this? Or, hey, you did this up here. Do you need to do it down here too? Or, hey, how did you get from here to there? I feel like we're missing a step. So having that third party perspective when you're walking through the process helps you really pull out all of the little details on how the process is performed.
Yeah, because you're exactly right. I do this too. I guess there's too many, someone who's doing it, there's too many assumptions.
Hmm.
When they start putting stuff down, there's like gaps. There's this. Like,
Yes.
well, I just do that. Well, of course you do that. I go, no, there's no assumptions allowed here.
Right.
Okay, and I tell them I'm the dummy. I know
Explain
nothing.
it to me like I'm
I
five.
Right. I got to be able to follow it and go, okay, light switch. Okay, up means on. Okay, got it. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it seems a little rudimentary, but like that's
Yes.
what works. You know
Yes.
that and I'm telling you, everyone it's like they have these big gaping holes in the and you're like, and then once you make them kind of like you said, you want they go, oh yeah, you do that, and there's three things missing. They don't even realize it. You know. So it revalidates the importance of this process,
Yes.
right? This is why it's so important because when you bring someone new on, they need to be up to speed as quickly as possible. Someone leaves a position because
Hmm.
what I always tell people, we put people in the systems, not systems in the people. So
Hmm.
that system runs, but they got to be able to
Yes.
get in and get up to speed in 5 to 7 days, like
And I also
100%.
will say, like, it is creating SOPs is a time intensive thing up front. Yes,
Up
that's
front.
true. There's no getting around that. But it will save you time tenfold on the back end. Once you kind of just sit down and do it and get it done, then you can bring the people in. Hey, here's the process. Here's the SOP. Read through it, walk through it, do the things. And ideally, they should be able to do the task start to finish with very little hands-on support outside of, shadowing and training and whatever. But that's the idea. It should save you time, energy, and really money on the back end once it's complete.
Yeah, and you're setting this for years to come with little tweaks here and there. Like you said, you got to update something. Hey, we do this a little different now. We don't click here, we click over here. You change the recording, you got but that's way easier than building it in the beginning. It's like anything else. It wasn't super easy to build your business in the beginning either, right? You did everything, but now we want to put this stuff in place. So, like you said earlier, it's really getting them to kind of you got to pull back the reins. So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's just slow down here. Let's see what we're going to do.
Yes.
Understand. I always try to go to the outcome. Now, let's talk about the outcome of this because you
Yes.
got to really know why. Like they kind of have
Yes.
a general idea, but and not just, well, now we'll have a system. No, what change does it make in the business? Like
Correct.
you're talking like the customer
Bigger
journey
picture. How does
changes.
this
Yeah.
impact your business? How does this
Yeah.
impact your bottom line, your team, all of that?
And you can actually attach ROI to that.
Correct.
So
Hours
like,
saved.
yeah, and it compounds. You
Yes.
have no idea the money that you're leaking. Okay,
Yes.
because the lack of those things. I mean, you are
Mm-hmm.
losing money on the daily
Yes.
for not having these things. And it's really important. There's things I bring up because like we all want to keep more money, but we're
Mm-hmm.
letting it all seep out
Mm-hmm.
because we're not doing these difficult things up
Yes.
front
Yeah.
to save that later. Yeah. Wow. It's good stuff. So let's get into another pillar. We've done the the identity.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked a little bit on actually just the actual mechanics of building the systems and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. What was the third pillar?
So the third pillar was the business organization and processes, which we kind of touched
Okay.
on.
All
Pillar
right.
2 is client journey, client experience. Pillar
Let's hit
4 is
that.
team growth. Yeah.
Let's hit client journey. That's important. Give us kind of
Yeah.
your insight on that.
Yeah. So I love to approach this. Again, I worked with like primarily service-based businesses. So I really like to help people understand that as a service-based business in particular, your clients are your greatest asset. So really thinking about what does their client journey, what does their client experience with you actually look like? And it's really kind of twofold, right? Like, yes, there's the operational efficiencies, the back end logistics that need to be in place. How do I, set up my consultation links? How do I get them onboarded into my systems? How do I move them? What are the benchmarks and goals that we're hitting? And then offboarding, like all of those things. But on the flip side, how do they feel when they work with you? What is their experience moving through your business with you? So I kind of hit it in 5 different ways. So there's how they find you, your consultation process, your onboarding process, client experience and expectations, and then offboarding. Think of it as like kind of 2 parallel roads, like the operational efficiency and then how that impacts the front end of the experience. Because if you can build an experience that is exceptional, that is flawless, where they feel valued, appreciated, seen, and you're hitting all the deliverables, they're going to be raving fans. And that's exactly what you want. Word of mouth referrals, warm introductions, warm leads, that will be critical for business growth.
Right. Yeah. It's, we call it the world-class experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like even in construction, like, no one complains about the end product. They complain about
Right.
the process.
Yes.
Okay. Worst experience of their life. Okay. Every time. Okay. So, we focus on that. Everyone's going to end up with a good product, especially if you're paying a lot of money, right? So
yes.
we're not focused on, I hope you get a good product. That should be an obvious, right? That's a
Yes.
given, but it's the process.
Yes.
So I just want to tie it together with what you're talking about, because construction, you get to make all these excuses for not, well, it's construction. We don't know from day to day. I'm like, oh, come on now. Like, we know.
But you can also look at communication, transparency, follow-ups, inclusivity, little notes of like, hey, checking in, this is where we're at. Like all of those things impact the client experience.
Don't forget unexpected and meaningful gifts.
Correct. I love gifts. I do cards and little gifts all the time. It's so fun.
Yes, I have someone else do that because I'm horrible at it. But I know the value of it. So someone else,
whatever, it's getting done, and it's from a heartfelt place.
That's right. So it's really important. People have to understand this client experience. Like, and everyone's got their different thing. And again, as part of our strategic vision, we write that out, right? That part's in there, but it's how it's happened internally, right? Like, what are we doing to fulfill this? We understand what's out there. We understand what we want. And again, the real outcome, not just we delivered A and gave it to B, but like, what is everything after that? So when you start to do that, and it's challenging, like it takes a lot of thought. I've had clients who have, I don't know if I can hit that bar. I don't know if I can do a thing at that level. They're really like, they're almost like, ooh, that seems like.
What do you mean? Can't hit that? Say more.
Because like, if I say, listen, we need a world-class experience.
Okay.
And they'll be like, oh.
What does that look like?
They're like, I don't know. Can you do that consistently? I mean, they have these doubts, because it's kind of how they've operated, right? We're taking them from kind of a hot mess that's doing okay, but you're trying to turn that around and refocus to the customer and refocus to the experience where they were focused on the outcome.
Yes.
And that's hard for them to kind of like, that seems, I don't know how to do that.
Again, taking the pause, stepping back, taking a breath and being like, what do I want this to look like? And you can build that into your processes. Cool. You had a great consultation. You've just signed on a new client or project. Now you're moving into your onboarding process. Part of your onboarding process is getting them set up, but that can also include a welcome gift or a welcome card or a welcome to the team or whatever. Cool. We've got certain benchmarks that we're hitting along the way, and like we're maybe halfway through the project. I want to send a little note of, appreciation and keep going and inspiration. We've finished the project now. Part of your offboarding process can include, hey, thank you so much. Here's a little closing card or closing gift. And like one of the things that I do with my clients, because a lot of the work I do is project-based, just depending on who's coming for what and what the scope of work is. But I do have 1 year-long program. That's my strategic planning program. But anytime I'm working with clients, I read a lot. I read a lot of business books. I really try to stay up to date. I listen to some podcasts and all that stuff. So if I'm reading something and I'm like, oh man, I really need to send this to Kay. This is really making me think of her a lot. I'll send him a book. Hey, I was reading this and I thought of you. Just like nice little gestures. I had a client that turned 50 this year. I sent her flowers. Happy birthday. You're turning 50. That's amazing. I have clients that are having high school kids graduate this year, sending them just a little, hey, happy graduation day. Really trying to pay attention to what is happening in your clients' lives outside of the work that you're doing. Little touch points that matter.
Yeah, I always say it this way. I said, everything you do is relational. Okay, whatever the process, whatever's going on, I don't care if it's in a factory or, but someone's buying something for you, there's a relationship there. And the things that you just suggested doing, that's relationship building, because when you talk about, and you've got like offboarding, we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I also believe in what's called LPV, lifetime profitable value. No one's ever buying something from me once. That's a bad business model.
Sure.
Really, really bad business model. Because if they buy something once, they're going to spend money again, as long as I do it right. Right. So for me, I had a roofing, siding, windows business. Okay.
Mm.
Well, and I've heard salesmen, they get done with the roof. Okay. See you in 30 years. Like you don't need another. I'm like,
Yeah.
don't ever say that. Don't
Yeah.
ever say that. Okay.
Right.
Again, yes,
Continue
they
the
got,
relationship in some capacity.
they have siding, they have windows, they have gutters. I mean, there's plenty of work here to do. This family who just spent 15,000 with me is worth about 100,000 plus over the next 10 to 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're not saying goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
We have just begun a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're gonna stay front of mind. We're gonna do the great things. We're gonna stay. You know what I mean? So that's the process, right? We have to
Mm-hmm.
create what does all that look like? Even when the first estimate, you get a call to go out. What does that look like? We have
Yes.
to build it. I have my sales process. I had built a poster flow chart, 33
Yes.
steps.
Yeah.
You'd love it. If they say this, you go here. You go here. If they say this, you go here. And I got this is the whole thing to, the first call through after the close, after you're done with the job.
Yes.
It comes like, oh, we send them a gift a couple weeks later. I'm the last one to give. That's my policy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They give me a check. Okay. They're getting a gift.
Yes.
I'm not ending with them giving me money. I'm going to be
Yes.
the last giver. That's kind of
I love that.
a little policy. Like
That's a great process.
I'm not keeping score, but I'm kind of keeping score.
Like, who's counting?
That's right. But I'm giving you another thing. So I'm it. But yeah, I really like that. I do want to talk about offboarding. You use the term, which I get. I want to hear your definition of what that means in your mind. What do you do in that process?
Would you mind repeating that one more time?
Yeah. So offboarding, when you say that, it's kind of like wrapping up the process.
Yes.
So
closing it down.
My first thing's like, okay, well, I'm kicking them to the curb now. We're done. You got your massage. Get out. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. You don't want it. Offboarding sounds kind of like formal and a little bit sterile, but really it's just like, how are you closing the project? How are you closing the work? How are you kind of closing the relationship, but like also shifting the relationship, right? So you want to think about, okay, great. We've done the deliverables. This scope of work is complete. What's next? And so certainly you'll have logistics, changing CRM stuff, transitioning contact information, like whatever those back-end logistics are that need to be in place. But then also, are they going into a different maybe email funnel? Are you sending them sort of like, I call it an exit template, but it's really like a, thank you so much for working with me. I loved our time together. Would love a referral or a testimonial if you're willing to give one. So again, trying to get sort of customer client feedback. That can be in the form of a survey. That can be a Google link, like kind of whatever you want that piece to look like. And then always, always, always at least a thank you card or a gift of some kind. But then how do you plan to continue the relationship? How do you plan to kind of, what's that check-in process post scope of work, post project? Are you checking in once a quarter? Are you putting them on, like, are they on your mailing list? Like maybe a separate one. Hey, checking in. How are things? Hey, it's been 6 months and we, did that project. How are things going? What does that follow-up process look like post deliverables?
Yeah, I love it. One thing I did in my roofing business was we put a new roof on. Every year you get a free inspection of your roof to make sure what we put on is doing what it's supposed to do. Also known as a sales call.
Sure.
Hey, I noticed you got some weeping on the windows here and stuff. Have you looked into your windows? Are you losing some, this and that, maybe on the siding, you got this. So you're really there and you're staying in front of mind.
Sure. Absolutely. Top of mind.
System, so it's really a good thing. You show them up, you let you know you're going to be there. You get up, you take a look, you do your thing, give them a little report. So little things like that. So I'm glad you defined that because again, just hearing the word, I really like that you understand it's just a continuation of the process. Offboarding is not, kicking
it's not goodbye, see you later, peace out. It's okay, how are we shifting the dynamic now?
Yeah, drip campaigns. Hey, like with me, a lot of it is weather, right? Hey, you get emergency. Hey, we had a hailstorm. Hey, boom, you're on my list. I'm front of mind. You're going to call me. Who do you know? Have your friend, that kind of stuff. I'm working with a tree service. Trees fall down all the time. Okay. Storms and they're on top of your house. And you're never done.
And even things like, oh, hey, like I came across this article, or this podcast and I thought of you. I thought you'd like enjoy it. Again, just touch points to keep you top of mind and visible and accessible for, I call them kind of boomerang clients, but really just continued relationships. So a lot of the work I do, yes, it's project based, it's specific scope of work. And so like, okay, cool. Maybe we're done this project now, but maybe 6 months later, they're like, oh, hey, Jess, I'm ready to like hire a team member. Let's work on this project. And I am very proud of the fact that I do have a lot of repeat clients, because that means A, my work is high quality. My clients are really satisfied, but more importantly, my clients felt seen, appreciated, valued, and really happy with our relationship during the project and after the project.
Yeah, I'd always do at least once a year I do a party.
Oh, fun. Yeah.
We got to cater. We got this. We're going to come. We're going to hang out. I'll do my house, sit around the pond. Which is what I built for them, and we did all this kind of stuff. So those were really good. And I was kind of shocked at how many people actually came.
Awesome.
But it's that testament, right? Like, oh,
yes,
they actually like me. Like
yeah.
I had a client. He had a great thing when he was he's a remodeler, right? And he's talking about the job, and he goes, and and the people ask like, what's from? He goes, what's different? Well, when we get done, we're still going to like each other.
Yes. It's a connection.
But he could say it in such kind of a really kind of soft, funny way. It's like, that's awesome. That is an awesome, because that usually doesn't happen.
Right.
Like, we talk about the experience, right?
Yes.
Like they got a good outcome, but the experience was horrible. So, but they still want to,
Yeah. And that matters. Like, the deliverable, the outcome could be incredible and as expected, but if the experience wasn't good, they didn't feel good about it for whatever way, they're not going to refer you. They're not going to come back to you.
Yeah, 100%.
And so like, also, I love that you have a lot of local clients, it sounds like, so you're able to throw an in-person party, which is amazing. I wish I could do that. A lot of all my work is virtual. So I have clients kind of like all around the country, but what I try to do is send like a little end of year gift or, happy holidays card, or just like a little kind of touch point to close out the year. So you can get creative if you have more of a virtual business.
You could also, this is going to work kind of two ways. You could do the retreat.
Sure. Yes.
Off retreat, get them all in one place. Even if it's regionally, depending on where they're at, and kind of get them all in the same room.
What I will say about that is that does require a lot of logistics. That does require a lot of like planning and logistics and stuff. So making sure you have like the bandwidth for that.
Mm-hmm. So it's not free. That's the first thing. Okay. Yeah. They're going to pay for. And there are people, that's why we love coaches. There's people who do all that for you.
Correct.
So
yes.
I would definitely like put this together.
Hire somebody.
People are going to come because and again, it's kind of a next level thing, right? And don't get me wrong. It's not like you don't want to do this, but when you have a certain level of clientele and deliver next level experiences for them, to give them, whether it's, and you get them there, and it might be 30 people.
Sure.
But it's those connections. I see it when we do it. It's like they become friends.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're sharing. They're kind of lifting each other up. They're helping. Now you're creating community.
I was just going to say, you're building a community.
It's a challenge in I'm remote too, right? So I coach all over the country and stuff. So and I still believe in the power of the room.
Mm-hmm.
Like putting people in the room. We get too caught up in this kind of thing. And but when you do it, you don't do it a lot. Like I said, once a year or whatever it is. But
sure.
You'll experience a whole new level of stuff. And it's also how you're going to generate more referrals for your business.
Mm-hmm.
So the ROI is magnificent on that. Beyond them paying to be at the event and everything else, bringing in the right people, I bring in private chefs. It's an incredible experience, right? I mean, it's absolute memorable. It's memories. It's experience and memories. But man, will they get you clients? You're just reminding them, like, you do remember who I am.
Right. Don't forget about me.
But like, I am this great. Really? No, I'm just kidding. But it's like,
no, but really I am. And it's great.
But you can build in those calls to action, everything else, part of your system.
Absolutely.
Like these things become part of how we do business, right? You may even do it with your own team. I do.
Yes. Team building events are super impactful.
Yeah. And I truly believe those need to be built into the business. It's not
Yes.
a random thing. Like, hey, everybody, don't forget, June 21st is, it's that time again.
It's an expectation that is
Yeah.
set early on.
Yeah, exactly. People know and look forward to it, and that's on the house, right? They're my
Yeah.
team. I take care of all that. I'm bringing everything. I'm building them up, and that's again, for culture and everything else, that's a really good thing. So wherever you're at in your business, you got to start. This is part of that strategy thinking that we talked about earlier, right? You want to think of these things like you got to get a little bit creative, but really know how to pour into your people.
And also a lot of that has to do with how are you defining success? Because maybe you want to stay a solopreneur. Maybe you want to stay a small team. Maybe you really want a large team, right? So a lot of that ties into how you're defining that and how you're making decisions to cultivate that.
Right. Right. Really important. But again, it goes back to systems and process. We need to be able to put this in. Like, we're going to do this. You might have to do your first one and figure it might be a total bust.
Mm-hmm.
Say, well, I did that all wrong. Okay, we're not going to do that again. Okay, well, we'll get the whiteboard eraser.
Trial and error in there, and good intentions, and hey, I'm trying this thing. Give me your feedback. What's working, what's not working, what needs to shift. Yeah.
Exactly. So because all this stuff, remember, I always try to tell people when your whole team is whatever they're exuding, whatever their feelings are about the company, everything else is transferring to your customers.
Yes.
Whether they're physically talking to them or being with them or all that stuff transfers. Like,
yes.
I'm not being woo woo. I'm just saying, like,
no, that's 100% legit.
It's so important. Like, and we go back to why you got to be thinking strategically, because you have to build this. You don't just snap your fingers and this happens. These processes, these systems, your client journey, your strategic vision, when you put all this together, that's what changes the culture. Okay. And now people want to come to work, right?
Yes.
And that's a really good thing, right?
Yes. You want them to want to be there. And also, if they're in a culture and an environment where they feel appreciated and heard and valued and excited and inspired, they're going to be a lot more loyal. They're going to work harder. They're going to care more. It's just going to kind of excel and accentuate everything on a positive.
Yeah, exactly. It's really the point of, they not only do they get it right, they understand the outcomes and what they're creating, right? And
why?
working in this environment is what they want. Because people want to work for, I always tell them there's three things. They want purpose, they want recognition, they want quality pay. In that order, right? They want to know why am I doing this?
Doing a good job for a good cause.
Yeah, and you're being patted on the back, or you're being publicly recognized, personally recognized. You're being corrected properly.
Yes.
Feedback
is important.
Ways, right? Like, hey, you're doing really good here, but we're struggling a little over here. Let's see what's going on. Let's work through this, get you back on track, and it's all good. That's what people want, right? Mm-hmm. And then your quality pay. Everyone wants to get paid, but it's not the number one reason people come to a job or leave a job. They'll tell you it's money.
Sure.
But it's not.
There's more to it than that.
Yeah,
exactly. The pay only thing is a little too black and white. There's a lot of variables at play there.
For sure. So again, it kind of wraps this whole thing up with when you said success, okay? People have to know when we build our stuff out, it's the same thing. We build these lanes for positions, everything else. They got to know what success looks like on the day, the week, the month, the quarter, and the year. What does it look like every day? If your people know how to win every single day, they're going to want to come to work.
Yes.
They understand the expectations. They understand the consequences. Yes. They know how to do this stuff because you've built it all. You've built all this. Like, most people build like expectations. Those are real easy.
Yes.
You never do the consequences ever. Okay. I'm like, you have to have.
In terms of not hitting the objectives and not in terms of not hitting the metrics, you mean?
Yeah, well, that and behavior and there's things like that, right?
Like employee conduct and company guidelines, all of that stuff. Like, here's how to be successful here in the company as a whole. Here's how to be successful in your specific role and how that relates to the company mission and values and as a whole. Like, all of that matters. And all of that, again, requires the pause, requires the thoughtful, intentional build out.
That's right. I mean, it has to be. But again, then, if you don't do it, this is what happens. This is the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before you're out or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, like I said, but you have to build that out and you get those lanes. I always tell people, no one wants to come into a hot mess of a business
No.
because every day they're
Turn it
ducking.
around.
Right. Well, but I mean an employee. You hire someone. They don't want to come in. They don't want a mystery job.
No,
Okay,
they don't.
ducking and
They want
shirking
clear
every.
expectations. How
Right.
do I do well here? How do I
Right.
know I'm making an impact here? How do I
That's right.
know that I'm thriving and making like adding value here? Like all of that matters.
Yeah. What's winning look like? What's success on a daily here? What does that look like for me in my
Mm-hmm.
position? Because if I don't have a metric of that,
Correct.
everything is subjective. No one
Correct.
wants to live in a subjective world. Okay.
No.
It's like
And
in the work
also,
world,
what I really like about that, especially if you have a team and maybe you're nervous about having a team, maybe you're like, oh man, like, what if it doesn't work? Or I'm bringing in my friend, but that makes me nervous. Again, clarify the expectations. No matter who you're bringing in, what's your process for bringing in a team member? What are the expectations for the role and functions and responsibilities they're taking on? What are the metrics or KPIs or success objectives that they need to be hitting? And then that can take some of the emotional hesitation or reservations out of that, because then it's very clear cut. Hey, you're in this role. Here's how to succeed. Here are the metrics you need to be hitting. And not to be inhuman, not to lose that human touch or human connection. But sometimes if you're in a position where you're like, hey, this person isn't really cutting it, they're not really hitting the objectives. If you have that data clear and articulated, it's easy to be like, okay, this isn't working and here's why. You'll have that information and data to kind of back that up. So it relieves some of that emotional stress that can happen with team building and team growth.
Yeah, it's all just great points. Jessica, this has been really fascinating because I like to hear it from other people. Let me
Yeah.
just be honest. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that other viewpoint, someone who's really in it deep on a daily basis, right? Really working with companies, helping them do this stuff and is enthusiastic about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Right.
Likewise, for sure.
And I just want to put this out for people. Like that's who you look for when you're bringing in the outside eyes.
Yes.
You want someone to come in and do this for you. You have to research. Everyone's going to raise their hand and say they can do it.
Yes.
Okay. I'm just
do your
I'm
research.
Just saying, like due diligence, baby.
Yeah.
We got to do it. Like, and you got to talk to these people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a read off this podcast will give you'll know more about like, is Jessica the person from this hour we've spent than you would like flimming through Indeed. Okay.
Yes.
Looking for someone, right? Like you got to hear the feedback. You got to get the personality. You got to understand the energy
and what are the questions that they're asking? Because that's going to give you insight into their knowledge base as well.
Right. Exactly. I mean, and it's really awesome. We're in a really great age. I've been in business 35 years.
Okay. Congrats. Amazing.
We didn't have any of this.
Yeah.
Okay. We didn't have internet. Everything was way too much money and no one could help you do anything. Okay. You might have some high executive level coaches,
mm-hmm.
If you were like Fortune 100 companies working with them, but it wasn't going to be the pond builder. Okay. It wasn't going to help me. Right. So it's like, but you're in a place now, regardless of what your industry is,
mm-hmm.
like there is someone who can help you elevate your business, straighten it out, get it fixed, get it running like a, like a well-oiled machine that it should. And that's what it's all about.
Yes.
So I'd love everything you brought to the show today. Any final words for our audience?
Man, just keep on keeping on. It's tough building a business, growing a business, trying to get a sustainable business, but don't be afraid to take the pause. Don't be afraid to take the time to look at your strategy, to look at your structure, to slow down enough to redirect and realign and build your business the way that you're really trying to build it. And maybe that is slower. There's that quote that I love, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. That's really what you're looking for. So don't be afraid to take the pause.
It's when you're shooting, when you're taking off from the appendix position and you're concealed. Okay, I'm going awry. Okay, Jessica, how can people get in touch with you, follow you? You know the drill. What do they got?
Yeah. My website is jmillsconsulting.com. You can email me at jessica@jmillsconsulting.com. I'm on LinkedIn as Jessica Millhiser. I'm on Instagram, jmills_consulting. I'd love to connect. I'd love to know if you listened to this episode and if you found it helpful. I have a twice a month newsletter that I'd love for you to subscribe to if you're interested. Otherwise, looking forward to connecting at some point in the future.
Absolutely. So one quick takeaway, everybody, you want to become a systems thinker. Okay. That you don't have to do it per se, right? Like I said, like you can hire people but you want to start thinking in systems.
Mm-hmm.
When you become a systems thinker, you're going to see your business very different, and and everything you do is going to be like, oh, I could create it. That's my little tip. It worked for me. It worked for people. Become a systems thinker. You will see things very different, and you'll see how messed up a lot of businesses are. You'll see that too. Okay. So,
opportunities for growth.
that's right. That's what I meant. Yeah, that. But thank you again, Jessica. Great spending time with you today. And for everybody else, we will see you on the next STS podcast.
Awesome. Thanks.
Thanks for tuning in to Sharpen the Spear podcast. If today's episode helped you think sharper, act smarter, or see new profit potential, do me a favor. Share it with a fellow home service owner and leave a quick review. Ready to find the profit hiding in your business? Head to sharpenthespearcoaching.com and book your free profit discovery call today. And until next time, keep sharpening.